Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I have another review for you. This is DC Comics under their black label. This is Batman, The Imposter, issue number 2. It's by Mattson. Tomlin does the writing. Art, it should be Andrea Sorrentino, and then we got Jordie Bellaire on letters, I think. And I'm assuming Andrea Sorrentino did the colors as well. Um, this one was a read, and by far it's probably one of the best the books I've read so far this week. It was when I read the first issue. As far as I know, this feels like it ties into the Matt Reeves movie that's coming, The Batman. Um, I'm not quite positive. I want to say it looks like it happens after the movie. I think originally it looked like it was a prequel. After reading the first issue, I want to say it feels like it's set after the movie because there are certain things that they mention in this book. Excuse me, in this book that kind of doesn't line up with the movie, and some things that do. I know we did see a lot of different gangs and stuff like that that they showed in the trailer. But as far as I know it, this is supposed to be set in the same world. And it's basically set, it's told through Dr. Leslie Tompkins, and it's basically like her first run-in with Batman. You know, I want to say this would be like year 2 or something like that in the main continuity. But this is a main continuity, so we don't really know. We know at this point that Batman is hated by the police, and at one point he did work with James Gordon, and that went wrong. That's what leads me to believe this is probably like after the events of the movie, because in the movie they show him working with James Gordon. Basically what this book is about is an imposter, a Batman imposter that is running around Gotham and making him look like a villain. He has been captured specifically on like TV streams and YouTube streams and stuff like that, but he's doing it on purpose, but he's taking out corporate hits and stuff like that, so it looks like it's backed by a job. This specific issue is told again through Leslie Tompkins, and it's basically like a twofold story. It starts out and she is going through like, you know, her past, because at this point she knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne, and she is going through like her past experience with Bruce Wayne growing up. Now, like I said, this is not main continuity, so she does touch on some things that did happen in Bruce's life that don't line up with the regular continuity. Like, for instance, he does have an Alfred. But in this life, Alfred was kind of a dick, and he didn't like Bruce when he was growing up after the murder, you know, of Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne. And basically had Bruce sent off to a Russian military school because he was too violent and active, you know, too crazy in school. And basically Alfred was not, you know, the fatherly butler that we all know him to be. But even after he had Bruce sent away to a Russian, you know, grad school or something like that, but this Alfred eventually quits and just leaves. But that's kind of the only little like side story that they give us about Bruce Wayne, as far as, because she's looking through files and kind of like remembering stuff, and it's basically her remembering this conversation that she had a while back with Alfred when Bruce was still growing up. While this is happening, you know, she has this agreement going on with Bruce Wayne right now that he has to come and see her on a daily basis and check in with her, and if not, she will call the cops and reveal that he is Bruce Wayne, kind of thing. And at this point, she has been explaining that he's kind of pushing, like he gets there right before dawn, kind of thing, last minute thing. But he does eventually show up in this issue like he's supposed to, and again, he is all battered and broken like we saw in the first issue. And the rest of the book is just explaining, like, first off, why he is battered and broken, and he explains that he had found out that, you know, while being the Batman and learning how the criminal organizations and mob works, and how the GCPD is corrupt and this and that. He also noticed that there was like a group of surveillance kind of lines throughout Gotham that was kind of secret, but only used by the 1%. But it all linked back to the Wesker like corporation. It's another one like similar to the Wayne Foundation or the the Elliott family or the Cobblepot family. But basically one of the big families that are out there. But most people, if they know the Bat mythos, Wesker, his son being, the ventriloquist, the guy that holds Scarface. So anyways, Batman does infiltrate this building. He kind of goes over this plan, like explaining on what he had to do and how he figured out how to break into the building at a minimal, threat to himself. He does break in there and he does, infiltrate the security system, which is like hundreds of security cams that are spread throughout Gotham. But in the incident, he does end up like getting caught by security because he doesn't end up knocking out one of the guards as hard as he thought he does, and it caused this massive action crazy scene where Batman ends up getting messed up more than he needs to. He eventually drops down off of like a whole level of building into another area of the skyscraper, and he eventually runs into the ventriloquist, and the ventriloquist with Scarface in tow basically states that he just wants Batman to kill his father, and it paints this whole dilemma in Bruce Wayne. And he's, at the time when he's telling this, like you have Tompkins in Bruce Wayne's ear asking, well, how does that make you feel that this person thinks you're an assassin, kind of thing. And they kind of leave it there, and she kind of questions him about what we saw in the first issue, but he does have a detective that is close on his trail that is kind of making the connections that Bruce Wayne could be Batman. And it is Detective Wong, a female detective, and she, in the last issue, we did see that she was on her way to question Bruce, which they do touch up on this issue. And basically at this point is Bruce telling Tompkins about what went on with Detective Wong, and they, basically she does come to interview Bruce, and through the interview it does lead to Bruce asking Wong out. They do, Bruce does reveal that he had done some information on Detective Wong, and I think her name is Deborah Wong, but he does reveal that they do have very similar linked backgrounds, specifically the death of their parents, both dying in front of them. So he does kind of like, lead on to the dating side of it, which she agrees to. We do find out from while he's telling the story to Dr. Tompkins that, and she even kind of makes this connection, that isn't that a little scary that you're dating a police that's after you and Batman at the same time. And that's kind of the plan, is Bruce thinks that dating her will get him inside league into the GCPD and stuff like that. As the book moves forward, it does show that they do make a kind of lover's connection and stuff, and eventually they through like investigation, they do get a lead on somebody that is tied to the imposter. They do find out, Bruce and the detective, kind of at the same time at the story, because now they're kind of using the same network, but they do find out that the rat catcher was another villain, was helping Batman the Imposter. They both end up going after the rat catcher at the same time, the police getting there first, snagging the rat catcher and leaving with him in tow back to the GCPD, with Batman kind of around the whole time as this is going on. There is a scene kind of straight out of a bunch of different movies where Batman is in the middle of the street and they are in an armored car transporting a Ratcatcher, if this sounds familiar. But eventually this Batman, it looks like Batman the Imposter, shows up and kind of grenade launches the car, explodes. It looks like he grabs the Ratcatcher and runs off. There is a moment as he's grabbing Ratcatcher that Deborah Wong does run up and tries to assault, try to apprehend Batman, and it doesn't go. I mean, she gets basically knocked the hell out. And in a nutshell, that's kind of like what is revealed to Tompkins at the end. It basically, like the Ratcatcher was able to get away, and that basically the imposter was the one who got away with everything. They do show a scene where like like it looks like Batman the Imposter was that it wasn't Batman the Imposter that got Ratcatcher. It was the regular Batman. And Batman is interrogating the Ratcatcher, and the Ratcatcher is just really confused because he was working with Batman. So he even calls this Batman a friend, being, confused that it's not the other Batman. But that's kind of where it leads off there. In the very last issue, it just shows like these two. It shows Wong and her partner, and they just show them breaking into the police evidence locker and basically stocking up on higher artillery and protective gear to go after the Batman, kind of. And that's where this issue leaves off. But I mean, overall, a fantastic read. I mean, the read by itself is amazing, but the paneling, the art, it all flows so well together. It feels like a movie. Now I'm going to show you some of the art while I can. I'm just going to go backwards, but I need to focus. But it's kind of set up, and that's the very end. Trying to get it to focus a little bit. I don't want to dead air. I mean, what a great issue, man. It was definitely one of my top reads, and some of the art was just amazing. Let me see if I can show you like that right there. That was the two on day, but they had a lot of great, just the panels and everything that was going on. It was pretty amazing. But hey guys, that's my review. I will see y'all in a little bit. Y'all have a great day. Bye.